Okay, so it's May 19th, 2025. Welcome, everyone.
Oh,
Today we're diving into our monthly wrap-up for English Group T247 here at Academia BSB.
that's right. We're focusing on their progress.
Specifically, we're looking at Reynaldo, Tiago, Mario, Douglas, and Karina.
Mm-hmm. And they've just recently started the B1 level studies.
According to the CEFRL, the Common European Framework, yeah. So it's a big step for them.
It really is.
Mhm.
This session is all about analyzing how they're developing, especially now they're hitting that B1 stage.
Exactly. We're going to focus on, well, two main areas today, grammar and vocabulary,
And we'll be using their class notes as our main source material.
which are, fundamental to the Academia BSB methodology developed by teacher Paul Edson. These notes give us such a detailed picture.
They really do. They let us see the evolution,
Yeah.
track patterns, and importantly, identify areas where maybe a bit more focus is needed, all aligned with those CEFRL standards.
So let's start with the general theme. Consistent progress is, well, it's everything in language learning, isn't it? Especially at B1.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
B1 is where learners really start moving towards a more practical, independent communication. It's less about just survival phrases.
And the CEFRL framework helps us measure that progress in actual communication skills.
Which is the core of our English conversations course here. It's about using the language.
So looking at those class notes, let's talk grammar first. How's Group T247 evolving there?
Well, we can see they've been tackling some key B1 structures recently.
Like the modal verbs, I saw units 48, 50, 53 mentioned in the May 12th notes. Things like can, could, must, should.
Exactly. Those are crucial for expressing possibility, obligation, advice, really adding nuance.
And also, I noticed earlier notes like unit 115 on distinguishing say and tell.
Another important one for B1, getting those usage patterns right.
And how are they doing with these, generally speaking? Are they starting to sort of internalize them?
They're definitely starting to grasp them, but, it's typical of B1 to see some common developmental patterns.
Like maybe overusing can when could might be better, or still mixing up the structures after say versus tell.
Precisely. It's part of that process of moving from, let's say, consciously applying a rule to using it more intuitively.
Yeah, you see them experimenting, which sometimes means making errors, but that's how they learn, right?
Exactly. Those errors are often really valuable indicators of their learning process. They show the students are trying out the new forms.
And the writing practice prompts give us more insight, too. I saw things like, when was the last time you got injured? From notes around April 12th and May 14th.
Ah, yes. Those prompts are great because they push students to use past tenses, connect ideas, tell a short story.
So we can see how they're handling narrative structure and linking sentences together.
Exactly. It's not just about one grammar point in isolation. It's about synthesis. How well are they pulling together tense, conjunctions, sentence structure to communicate something meaningful? Their written responses really show that development.
Okay, that makes sense. So grammar is one piece. What about vocabulary growth?
That's the other major area we track closely in the notes. You'll see the class stats.
Right. I saw metrics like vocabulary growth, 14 new words,
Yeah.
and a comprehensive lexicon repertory around, 816 words in recent note.
That cumulative number, the lexicon repertory, is really important. It shows that steady build-up over time. Each session adds a few more bricks to the wall.
And it's not just random words, is it? Looking at specifics, May 14th had words like cap, hat, clothes, outfit,
Yeah, related to appearance.
but also travel, trip, citizenship, ancestors, passport, more abstract concepts.
Right. And back on April 12th, you saw things like period of time, business, carbohydrate, but also verbs like work out and get injured,
So quite a range. Daily life, health, travel, business.
which is exactly what B1 learners need. They need vocabulary for discussing familiar topics, personal experiences, opinions, plans. It's moving beyond the absolute basics.
And the notes actively reinforce this, don't they? With the new lexicon sections and the past class vocabulary reviews.
Absolutely. Those exercises, completing sentences, matching definitions, they're designed for consolidation.
Making sure the new words stick.
Exactly. It's about active recall, not just passive recognition. Seeing a word isn't enough. You need to use it, retrieve it.
I also noticed some idiomatic expressions popping up. Under the weather, burn the candle at both ends from April.
And globetrotters have itchy feet. more recently in May.
Yeah. How important are those at the B1 level?
They're really valuable for sounding more natural, more, fluent. Understanding and maybe starting to use a few common idioms shows a deeper engagement with the language. Adds color.
Okay. So expanding vocabulary, consolidating it, adding idioms, it all feeds into better communication.
Definitely. Better oral fluency, better comprehension. The more words you know and can use confidently, the easier it is to express yourself and understand others. That's central to the B1 goals and our English conversations focus.
It gives them more tools in their toolbox, basically.
Precisely. And a bigger toolbox means you can build more complex things, communicate more sophisticated ideas.
So how does all this, the grammar development, the vocabulary growth, how does it map onto the official CEFRL B1 descriptors?
Well, it aligns very closely when you look at the framework's can-do statements for B1.
Things like understanding main points on familiar topics.
Exactly. Or dealing with most situations when traveling. Or connecting phrases simply to describe experiences, events, dreams, hopes, ambitions.
Okay.
The grammar they're learning, like modals for opinions or past tenses for experiences, and the vocabulary related to travel, personal life, work it all directly supports those B1 abilities.
So the work they're doing in class, reflected in these notes, is directly building those specific competencies outlined by the CEFRL.
That's the goal. We're equipping them with the specific linguistic tools needed to meet those B1 performance standards in real-world communication.
And it emphasizes again that this B1 level, getting that grammar and vocabulary solid, is such a critical foundation.
It absolutely is. It's the stepping stone to B2 and greater fluency, greater confidence. But you need that solid B1 base.
Which means, for the students, consistent review of these class notes and active participation are just essential.
Non-negotiable, really, if they want to keep progressing effectively.
The notes also point towards further learning, right, with bibliographic references.
Yes, things like links to specific resources on phrasal verbs, references like Grammar Unit 231, or links to grammar PDFs. They're pointers for students who want to dig a bit deeper.
Encouraging that independent learning habit.
Exactly. And looking ahead, the upcoming linguistic scope section often teases the next focus. I see the next one is, how many X, how much?
Ah, countable versus uncountable nouns. Another classic B1 point.
Yep. Crucial for accuracy when talking about quantity.
Okay, so for anyone listening, particularly your students, remember you can download and print these class notes.
Or access the whole archive online through the student portal students.AcademiaBSB.com.br.
They really are such a valuable resource for tracking your own journey.
Absolutely. Having that detailed record empowers you to see where you've come from and what to focus on next.
So as we wrap up, maybe just a final thought. Learning a language, it takes real effort, real dedication.
It certainly does.
And it's so important to acknowledge that effort and celebrate the progress, even the small steps. Every bit counts.
Every new phrase learned, every grammar point clarified, it's all forward momentum.
And perhaps something for you, the listener, to consider. What's the real value you place on investing your time, your energy, maybe even your money into developing this skill, this ability to communicate across languages?
It's a significant investment, but the return, both personally and professionally, can be immense in today's world.
It really can open doors.
Definitely. It broadens horizons in so many ways.
Well, on that reflective note, that brings us to the end of this deep dive into Group T247's progress.
Thanks for joining us.
And always remember the Academia BSB motto. It's not only about the language, it is all about communication.